up, everyone? My name is Matthew Dale. I'm here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more. And we've got kind of an exciting day today. Firmware 22 for the Axe FX3 has been released, and we've got some pretty great upgrades, including the Dyna-Cabs and, of course, the Rev models in here. So let's dive in and take a look at some of this new stuff. First off, I've got the band commander called up with a little bit less bass, a little bit more highs. I'm running into a London plate reverb with a little less lows, a little less highs, and then I've got my typical twin reverb cabs, and this is the sound that I'm used to hearing when I dial in the band commander. I'm playing my DGT. This is on both pickups. Love that sound. Let's pop over to channel A and let's start dialing in the Dyna-Cabs. So you'll see we have a new thing in our cab block. We got a type now, and we're going to switch over to Dyna-Cab. And we've got this new interface going on. I'm going to go and select cab 1 here, and we've got a much shorter list of IRs, which is great. When I first got my FM3 and I was just getting used to the Fractal universe, I remember doing exactly this. So I would go over, if I do this on channel B, I'd click on the picker, and I would click on this icon up here, the pin, and I would select a cabinet, and then I'd hit down, and I would go through all of these cabinets and get a list together of basically, you know, if I want fender, my fenders are going to be in reds. If I want a greenback, I'll put those in greens. I got kind of a list together of things that I liked, blue for Alnico blues and stuff like that, and yada, yada, yada. Having a shorter list like this makes things a lot easier to find a sound that you like. Now, some of these are probably chopped off on the top here, but I'm going to go down and select the double verb, and I'm going to do this on two. I'm going to dial in 2 different sounds, and I will probably hard pan them at some point, but right now, this is what we got using the condenser mic on a twin reverb cab 2x12, and here is our sound right now. And now we have a virtual microphone that we can move around. And a couple of tips, a couple things that you'll notice when you start to move this microphone around. We will hear more lows the closer we get, less lows the further away we get. And we'll also hear a lot more highs the closer we get into the cone. And then we'll get, I wouldn't say more lows, but probably more mid-range as we move out towards the edge of the speaker. This is probably going to be especially true with a dynamic microphone because they are more susceptible to the proximity effect. So real close on the cap, far away on the cap, really thin, really bright, really close to the edge, and really far away on the edge. And then, of course, we have this entire playground anywhere in between. So if I just kind of take a listen to, let's go back to that condenser microphone. I kind of like the way that sounded. I'm on both pickups again. And I've got some nice things happening there. Usually, I kind of like maybe just a little bit off center of the cone, back just a little bit so there's not too much woofiness. And that is starting to sound pretty good. Let's go ahead and mute this and unmute this other one. Let's get something a little bit different. Let's do a ribbon microphone now. Here it is, just at the stock settings. A lot of proximity effect. Let's back it up and let's move it off the cone a little bit and maybe try right around here. Move it around a little bit. If you do the looper, this will work really well as well because you can just have a loop going before the ambient cab. You can hear the effect that way, but I'm not going to set that up right now. That sounds pretty good. Again, this is kind of like the sweet zone for me. Let's see. Let's mute this and unmute this again. Something a little bit brighter on the condenser, something a little bit sweeter. And a little bit more thunkiness coming out of the ribbon microphone. Let's blend them. Here we have that now. And of course, probably my favorite thing to do is to hard pan these left and right. Now, the nice thing about these Dyna-Cabs is no matter where you position the virtual microphone, they are still going to stay phase aligned. So you're always going to have a nice, strong signal no matter where you move things. If we do go to the Align tab, if you do want to move something out of phase a little bit, we can just play around with the distance. That's just a little bit out of phase if I really kind of pull it out of phase. Then you can kind of hear what that sounds like. There's also another trick that I like doing if you want more stereo width without using like an enhancer block or something. If you push this IR, you know, one of the IRs, out about 3 or 4 milliseconds, if I zoom out here, and if I go around probably to 4 milliseconds or so, this will widen our sound. So if you're on like the FM3 and you want to do kind of like a dual amp setup, but you don't have 2 amp blocks, this is kind of a nice trick to simulate that sort of thing. And then also using, you know, drastically different IRs instead of, you know, 2 twin reverb cabs, you could use like a twin reverb and, you know, like a AC20 cab or something like that. This is sounding really good. The only thing that I think I might do to this is change these around where I go to my typical 80 hertz and 1,000 hertz. Something like that I generally do on all of my cab blocks. This is really easy to dial in, and it's a little bit more interactive to dial in rather than just sifting through a giant list of over 2,000 IRs. So to just do a little bit of comparison, here's what we dialed in with the Dyna-Cabs. And then so in essence, not too dissimilar, but it was much easier and much more fun to dial this in as opposed to the other stuff. Let's get something that would probably be suitable for some more high gain, and let's check out the new Rev models to dial in some high gain tones. So let me go over, I'll go over to channel C, and let's go over to Rev. And let's start with the purple. Let's go ahead and get the EV12L and maybe the Soldano cab here. Let's try this guy and the Rev. Let's just see what it sounds like at stock settings if I reset this channel. Let's just see what this sounds like. These are set up pretty much to get all of their gain from the preamp section, so don't be afraid to boost this level. I found that around like 4, 4.5, somewhere like that sounds pretty good for this stuff. Bridge pickup. That sounds good. Let's do just maybe a little bit less here, a little bit more there. Leave the bright switch on, a little bit less here, and just crank this up just a bit, not too much. Let's go back to our cabinets, and I'm going to reset these to 0. And let's just hear what the EV12L is doing. That's nice. That really gets aggressive. Let's listen to this. Let's hard pan this stuff now. I'm kind of liking that. Let's go back over to our amp and just crank this up a little more. So on the revs, the numbers relate to where the aggression switch is. So if this is purple 1. If we go to purple 2, more aggressive. Of course, my EQ stuff has changed a little bit. Let's try purple number 3, the most aggressive purple channel. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. Let's move on to the red. Same sort of treatment. Move this down just a little, it's a little bit louder. I really like this red. It sounds quite a bit less compressed. It's more dynamic under my fingers. But it still feels grippy. It still feels like it's nice and compressed, but it's a little bit more open. It feels like I'm playing something more compressed, but it sounds quite a bit more open, if that makes sense. Let's try the second channel. Same sort of deal. Yeah, I really like the red channel on this stuff. This is really great. A little less mids, a little more highs. Yeah, it stays nice and composed when you're playing on the neck pickup. It doesn't flub out. Bridge gets nice and aggressive. Yeah, I would probably, if I had this going, the cabinet's sounding good. There's really nothing I'd change about the cabinet. I like the way that sounds. I would probably do something like this. Let's pull in the multiband compressor. And again, in my block library, let's suppress some of those chugs. Yeah, I like this amp. I'm not usually like a high gain amp type of guy, but this feels really good. This is a really great addition to the amp the amp catalog and the Fractal stuff. I bet we can make a pretty great lead tone out of this. Let's bring in the multi-tap delay. I'm going to pull in my wide lead delay out of my blocks library. I'm going to update my blocks library with some of my favorite Dyna-Cabs that I have dialed in and some of my favorite Rev sounds in here. So if you want to get those for yourself, download my blocks library. It'll be in the description box below. Let's hit this with the modded TS-808. I do not need any more gain on this. Let's just bump the level up a bit just to shape what's going into the amplifier, and we've got this now. Yeah, this is so much fun. This is a great welcome addition to the amp library of the Fractal stuff. I love it. I'm going to put together some more of my favorite Dyna-Cab sounds and some, I'll probably dial in the Rev a little bit more, and I will throw this preset up on my Patreon. You can find that linked in the description box below. My name is Matthew Dale. I'm going to play you out with some high gain goodness. I will see you guys next time.